Ba 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 boom ba. Hey, welcome to the most reliable news source in the world. Quarterfinal announcements are starting to come out. Information today from the Dave Castro, but more importantly, the Barbell Spin, the fastest, most reliable news in the space. Also home to what appears to be a battle between Colton Mertens and Jake Berman. A burpee contest. 100 burpees for time over the barbell coming soon. I think April 3rd. More details to come. Check out the Barbell Spin podcast. CrossFit hosted a virtual affiliate town hall this morning. During the town hall, Dave Castro shared some big news. Why this affects me is Sevon Podcast is hosting the semifinals World Invitationals, brought to you by Born Primitive and CA Peptides. Individual quarterfinals will now be 4 workouts. We were planning for 6 workouts, but now it's only 4 workouts. Jason Hopper, Dallin Pepper, Colton Mertens, Taylor Self. Taylor Self versus the world's quarterfinal competition coming soon. I think we're 3 weeks away. Now, before you say that's not enough to narrow the field down to the top 40, blah, 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 blah. If you want to read the rest, go over to the spin. But 4 workouts. There it is. The news is in. The news is in. The New York Times. What a horrible news source. If you're wondering if you're brainwashed, one way to start the process is to ask yourself, do you ever believe anything that the New York Times tells you? You should not. It is a completely horrible resource with any reliability. Here from the CrossFit Games Instagram account, this young lady points out just another reason why the New York Times is a garbage rag.
Do you remember when the New York Times published this article that said why women can't do pull-ups back in 2012? Well, according to the Beyond the Whiteboard team, over 22,000 women not only completed 50 chest-to-bar pull-ups, but they also completed at least 1 bar muscle-up during week 3 of the 2024 CrossFit.
Imagine the dumb shit you could say if you own a newspaper like the New York Times. You could just utter complete bullshit, and thank you for Beyond the Whiteboard, for being around since the dawn of time, recording CrossFit workouts for people, being a platform that's a resource to debunk just absolute horseshit. What's crazy is so many people will believe this. And yet, every day, thousands of times a day, maybe 1 million times a day, someone sees a woman do a pull-up. Thousands of times a day, someone sees a senior citizen woman do a pull-up. More horseshit from the New York Times. From the Proven podcast. This one made me jealous. I'm not going to lie. Colton Mertens, ranking as a 1.2 as a podcast guest just 2 years ago, now has got to be the best podcast guest available. Here we go. Colton Mertens dropping the facts. Goggin shit.
Not going to be easy, and there's going to be a lot of hard things. Even if you do have the opportunity to train full time, we've seen a lot of athletes struggle with it mentally. But if it ain't for you, go hang drywall for 10 hours a day and see how you like that too. It is a privilege to get to do this sport at a high level, and fortunately for the athletes that have had a hard time mentally, they've had the finances and the opportunities to take a year off and kind of collect themselves. Just looking at it kind of from the perspective of like, there's a lot of people.
Think about it. Colton Mertens. By the way, that was the Proven podcast, episode 3. The Proven Fitness podcast, spelled PRVN. I'm not sure who the host is. This is great lighting, great guest, great content. Episode 3 with Colton Mertens. Minimum 5 days a week, this guy's carrying a hose, spraying shit out of a fucking box with 3,000 pigs in it. Then he comes home, he works on his gym, and then he works out. But don't forget, he worked out in the morning before he went to spray the fucking down the pig stalls, shit off the walls. Pig farmer Colton Mertens, first week of the Open, unexpectedly has a death in the family, about as close as it can get to you, his mom. It's all context, people. Relativity and context. Is it work less or work harder? Thank you, Colton. It's all about relativity and context, which the people at the Training Think Tank did an amazing job with. These guys are off the hook. This show's wild. Training Think Tank. What episode is this? CrossFit Open Awards. The Training Think Tank reacts. The Sevon podcast was honored on this podcast, and I don't say this lightly, with 3 legends in the space. Let's listen at the 22-minute and 24-second mark.
Why do you need the phone?
And ladies and gentlemen, up next, we have the best open content from 2024. Your choices are CrossFit HQ, Mayhem, Sevon, and Proven. Max El Haj will have the announcement.
Sevon.
Who's it going to be? Oh, and this year's best open content is Sevon.
Hey!
47% of the vote to Sevon, 31% to Mayhem, 14% to CrossFit HQ, and 8% to Proven.
Now, why is CPT writing my name now? He knew. He had to have known. How could you not have known? I say that with all humility. 47%. Thank you, Taylor Self. Thank you, Will Brandstetter. Thank you, J.R. Howell. Thank you, Tyler Watkins. Thank you, Mr. Souza. Thank you, Mr. Beaver, Caleb Beaver. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, CrossFit Charlotte. Anyway, thank you. It is cool to get this award.
And our media guy got fired for not putting us on this list. This is Chris's last video.
We can't put ourselves on our own.
Oh, that's CPT's name, Chris? I didn't even know that, Chris. I thought it was like Captain something.
I voted for ourselves anyway.
Do people just call him the Captain?
No, just type it in.
I'm
I was
just
gonna
kidding.
say.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Set
I,
the
know,
DM?
I think
Yeah.
this is right again.
Yeah.
He does a good job because he just has he can keep a conversation going the entire time. He makes it fun. He tells stories. He has cool people on, so he wins.
I was more curious. I wish I could pull.
Really, it was Taylor. Taylor sold his junk. It was Taylor. But anyway, thank you, boys. Appreciate it. Honored to be on the show. So many people consider you guys the best in the biz and the place where you go to get the real information. So thank you. It means a lot to me to get that award from you. I'm telling you. I told O'Keefe 2 years ago. I told Matt O'Keefe 2 years ago, how the fuck did you not get this guy? He's blowing up. Here we go. Sorry, Training Think Tank. Your boy Max El Haj, the big brain over there, takes one in the dumper here. But what are you going to do?
Max El Hag on tomorrow?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Max El Hag over at the Training Think Tub. Those guys, they're an abomination to the sport. Max El Hag is an absolute menace. They have their own podcast, the Corpus Anus podcast. And I heard them say the most ridiculous things, like the Jake German is the best in the burpees at CrossFit. And I just can't believe it was said. Me next to him in a burpee workout, I would end this man's life. They should pray that he never has that fate. Even Max El Hag.
My goodness. And if you want to see how Max El Haj took this, go over to his Instagram account and pull it up and look at his bio. It's how real men do things. Anyway, great bit, Mr. Mertens. You're a beast. You're becoming a staple in the world of good CrossFit content and the best CrossFit content, doing the best interviews, and you just keep reinventing yourself. It's not like you have one bit. You keep reinventing yourself. It's more important than ever to do CrossFit. Why is that? Because you need to be personally accountable and responsible for your well-being at all times and make sure you know how you're moving, when you're moving, and what you're sticking in your mouth. And this one is no shocker here, but once again, here we go. Mayo Clinic just admitted
that they are no longer hiring the best doctors for the job. In a recent job listing post, the Mayo Clinic, one of the top hospitals in the world, said that they are prioritizing, among other things, refugees, neurodivergent, single parent, blind or low vision, deaf or hard of hearing, Black, the elderly, LGBTQ, and justice impacted individuals. When you prioritize anything other than merit, you are necessarily receiving doctors that are less qualified than they otherwise would have been. And in the medical field, this is a big deal and exactly what Elon Musk was talking about.
I just want you to think about that for a second. And when you vote in November, think about that. Think about all the causes and things that interest you. Do you want the best doctor working on your mom, your wife, your aunt, your sister, your daughter? Or do you want someone who's hired because they're neurodivergent with a penchant for the same genitalia that they have? Just think about it when you vote. Because you have two options. One group is enforcing that, and the other just wants the best doctor. And the irony is the one that's enforcing that you hire based on skin color is the one that's yelling that everyone's racist. Fascinating times we live in. Subject near and dear to my heart. I have shared this with you many, many, many times. I randomly came across this on Instagram today, which is kind of funny. I don't even follow this guy, but here we go. The sad guru. Here we go.
At some point, I will stop the entertainment. Totally. Only answering questions to larger public who don't do any practice. Those who are practicing every day intensely, am I taking any of their questions or answering any questions? No, I don't. The idea of doing sadhana is all the questions will burn, not that you'll find answers. People who don't do anything about their internal well-being, but think by asking a question and hearing an answer, their life is going to be settled, we are still entertaining them. At some point I will stop the entertainment, totally. Right now, it's still on. At some point, it will be only available to those who are intensely doing their sadhana. I am not the sort to give you a conclusion, I am a process. If you are willing to be a process of growth, I'm there for you. You want a conclusion, I will frustrate you. The place from which all these questions are manufactured, that place is incapable of knowing. So don't ever believe your intellect will know. It will not know.
Don't ever believe your intellect will know. It will not know.
You ask questions because
you don't have to believe. You can know. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.